Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we'd like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. So, last time we were talking, we were discussing Hurricane Helene and the devastation and the aftermath of it, the cleanup, the gut wrenching stories, and although it affected many states and many, I just always think of those images coming out of Asheville, North Carolina, just the utter devastation that hit that beautiful town. And just to see that image of Main Street that once had those booming businesses just gone. It's just washed away from the mudslides and the flooding and just gone. And although Helene had affect a lot and many, and her destruction path was wide. Florida, who did see a lot of damage from Helene and are still right in the heart of the cleanup, they are bracing themselves for yet another major storm. So, Hurricane Milton is on its way, and it's got its eye directly on Florida. It just passed through the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, and it was once a Cat 5, then it was downgraded to a Category 4. Well, it was just upgraded again to a Category 5. It is expected to make landfall Wednesday evening, going into Thursday morning, right in the western coast of Florida. This looks scary. I mean, they're calling for 10 to 15 storm surge waves. My gosh, if they just had 6 to 7 foot wave or storm surges from Helene and had that massive flooding, I mean, I can't even imagine 15 feet storm surges. Wow. That is a low-lying area, Tampa, Sarasota, all the way down that western coast. It's all very low-lying. It is densely populated, and wow. Our hearts go out to you. Please, please be prepared. Please be safe. This just feels so different. All the meteorologists, and trust me, I've watched every channel recently, and especially today, of like every news station, every weather station, every weather channel outlet I can find. I want to know because it's just constantly changing. But in that field of meteorology, they seem to all be pretty freaked out at what they see. And then if you've seen the satellite images of this thing, like, it's mammoth. It's a monster, and it's huge. And it's got its eye right towards the Tampa area. And I was reading this one story that Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel has showed up in Tampa, and they're freaked out because once he shows up during a major forecast of a storm, that's usually where the eye is going to hit. And Jim Cantori is very wrong. He's almost like the oracle of weather, and they're freaked out. It looks bad. The words, the expression, the phrases, the verbiage that I have heard from everyone, from the weather, the meteorologists, from local officials and local responders in that area where they're expecting to be hardest hit. I mean, even that strong statements, like I think it was the mayor of Tampa said, and I'm pretty sure it was the mayor, said, if you do not leave those evacuated zones, you will die. I don't think I've ever heard that. And there were some other local officials, and I think maybe it was responders, warning and asking locals in the area, if they do stay in the evacuated zones, please write your name, your number, and a contact number of someone else. Because if they find you and you have passed, they need to ID you, and contact someone. So that's pretty scary. And I was telling someone earlier today, like, I don't think I've heard anything like that. And this is more extreme, but anything kind of even remotely like that since Katrina. Michael, I think, took the panhandle of Florida by storm several years ago. Was it 5, 6 years ago? And that was a 4 originally, but then they upgraded that to a Cat 5. And that was just, oh my God, extreme, extreme destruction there. But this one even feels different. And I remember with Katrina, and I can't believe that next year it's going to be 20 years, that 20 years ago that had happened. But there was this one weatherman that they had called in for the storm, and he didn't show up too often. I think that he pulled it. I think the weather, I don't know if it was a Weather Channel or what service it was I was watching, but they only pulled this guy out when the major stuff was hitting. And I'm guessing he was retired, and he was on, and Katrina was just getting ready to make landfall in New Orleans. And he said, if you are still there in New Orleans, may God be with you. And then that stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, oh my God, like, Jesus, this is going to be bad. And we all know what happened with Katrina, and it was just awful. This storm with Milton, the warnings are much more extreme and dire. So, I mean, I was also hearing, I forget which news outlet it was, that they were interviewing locals in the Florida area that they were warning to evacuate. They were saying, if you do not leave the evacuated zones as of 12 o'clock at noon on Wednesday, emergency is not coming. Now, evidently, during Helene, they were still able to make some rescues. Not easy, complicated, hard, but they were able to do it. They are warning everyone and telling you directly, there will not be emergency for you. Emergency responders must be safe as well, so they can then do their job to rescue. But if you choose to stay, then you're riding this one out on your own. So it's crazy. I mean, like, and there was just so many other things, but to hear, like, you need to write to Sharpie your name, your contact information, to know that we're not coming to rescue you. You're riding this one out on your own. So know this, it could be days. We don't know. We do not know how this could turn. And I was watching this one weatherman. He's like, this storm could wobble a little bit. There's still a little time, but it's not going to wobble too much. It looks like it's still the eyes heading towards the Tampa, Sarasota area. They're expecting huge storm surges, like I said, 10 to 15 feet. And I mean, this could just really change that whole surface of the map there in that part of Florida. If not Florida, the whole state. I mean, it's not a huge width. Geez, Florida, you have been hit one right after another, and there's still time. Like I said, we still have a little bit of time. It could be downgraded a bit, but I was watching this one meteorologist, and they were saying there's this little warm band that of air and maybe water that's, I guess, a little bit warmer. If it hits that area, and a smaller percentage, but if it does, because it can happen, then it will just really accelerate the process and just fuel that energy and create more power and strength. And that's a really scary thought. And there was also, I was reading somewhere that this could make landfall as a Cat 5 in Florida. Hoping that it's not. They're still calling it for a 4, but it has been upgraded again now at this present time as a Cat 5. Just upgraded again. But they were questioning, since the scale to rate category or to rate hurricanes only goes to a Cat 5, category 5, that these storms are just becoming more frequent and more powerful. And this one here, Milton, might actually change how they rate. They might change this scale. So the question is, do they now need to include a category 6? So Milton may change a lot of things, not only the landscape of Florida, and we are hoping that does not happen, but it could also change how we scale hurricanes in the future. Florida, we are all thinking of you. Those who stay, our prayers are out for you as well. This looks scary. This looks and feels different. And what I have heard from local authorities in Florida and from the specialist in weather, this is scary and it does look and feel different. And if they're this freaked out, I think we should all be freaked out. Sometimes they can, I think, get a little over amped on this stuff. Just look at the scale of that thing from space. That image of Milton from space, like 2 days ago, it almost looked like two systems that were joining together, but it's just huge. And to see that deep pink red around that ring red, that red band it's huge. This is scary. So Florida, we are thinking of you. Now, as we move into these devastations, there has been a lot going out there about FEMA and their readiness and their ability and the funding for natural disasters. FEMA looks exhausted. That has been an intense season of weather, major systems. Then they're still in the thick of cleanup and care from Helene, and now they are preparing for Milton. And, they're strapped and probably tired at this point. And there has been a lot coming out in the media and in the news, and these statements have been fueled by Trump, that FEMA is redirecting their money and resources other than disasters and aid, that they are using it and redirecting that money towards immigration and migrants. This is not the time to put out false statements and lies. It's just not. FEMA has immediately come out and said that these are false statements. They have denied it. And they have not only released a statement, they have also, FEMA, have released a page on their website that you can go check the facts. They want to totally debunk any disinformation that has been put out there. The Biden camp, the White House has released a statement also denying any of those statements and saying that it's completely false, that FEMA is only using their money, funding, and resources for disasters and relief. So if you have any questions about what is some of the statements and stories that are going out in the news, false, that is false. And please go to your reputable resources, government, or reputable news stations or news outlets to get the proper information and the correct information. Fact checked, fact checked, fact checked. There's only 28 days left to the presidential election. We are in the final stretch. Thank God. So exciting. As someone who loves politics, I am burnout. I am utterly burnt out on politics. It's in every conversation. It's every day. It's in every story. It's excessive. And in many states, there are also statewide elections going on. So there's that. It's on every commercial. It's in every feed. It's everywhere. And I'm not only just burnt out just because it's overload. It's just too nasty. Too many personal attacks. It's below the belt. I can't really handle it anymore. I am ready for some normalcy back in my life. Just so, normal Sunday coffee talk, political conversation. And it's extreme. It's really extreme now. And I'm glad that we are in a month away. I'm still nervous following the election. what could happen. Just can we all please remember that even following the election, we all still have to live with each other. So let's not fight. Let's be kind to each other. But that makes me a little bit nervous. I mean, it's just so much rhetoric, but so much anger and hatred. It is insane to me. Now, with the final stretch happening and only 28 days to go, both campaigns are out hitting the circuit everywhere. You had Trump and Elon Musk in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah, back in Butler. The scene of, well, not the same place, but the same town where the first assassination attempt on Trump happened. So he went back. Pennsylvania is a strong state for him. So he wanted to go back, show his support there, and brought his powerhouse guest, Elon Musk. He is huge. Everybody seems to love him. And he is. The man is an absolute genius. I personally disagree with a lot of things he does. The man's a genius. There's no denying that. He's powerful. He's a, genius inventor, strong businessman, you name it. He's all those things. He gives me Howard Hughes vibe a lot. His eccentric personality, but hey, but he is all on the Trump train. He was there showing his support and endorsing him. So that was a huge win for Trump this weekend. Vance is working his way around everywhere. And then you have Waltz and Harris. They're doing their loop around everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Late night, radio, daytime TV, live daytime TV. She was doing The View. Not easy doing live. And podcast. Yes, Harris. She actually did the Call Her Daddy podcast, and great podcast, huge viewers. I heard it was 10 million viewers she has on that podcast, and huge millennial and Gen Z base, large female audience. And so that was a lot of the major topics that were discussed on that with Harris. And I'm really glad that she did a podcast and is really casting a wide net on trying to reach everyone. I still don't understand who those undecided voters could be at this time. That kind of boggles me right now. I mean, but if there are, please watch it. Watch all the interviews. Fact checked, please, please, please. Fact checked. We all know that there's a lot of lies being spewed and said out there. So please, please fact check. But going back to the podcast, I'm a news junkie and I constantly have news on a loop. The mainstream media, I listen to podcasts all the time. You name it, I'll get it. And I'll, of course, reputable sources. But us podcasters, we talk about everything. Any subject you want to talk about. We can even talk about our personal lives. You name it, anything we discuss. And we don't have a lot of the censorship. Well, we still have censorship, but we don't have a lot of the heavy hand of that like the mainstream media does. And I think more people are reaching out because we're not on the same loop of topics and stories that all the major networks are on. You'll see the same stories over and over and over. And a lot of the networks in the news, they tell a lot of corny stories and a lot of non-news stories. When I want the news, I want the news. And that's just not what we're getting. So a lot of people are going to podcast or going to live media and things like that to get their stories and their information. And I like that the Harris team recognizes that and knows that they can reach a large audience and all age groups. And that's great. That is great. And that's who you want to reach out to. So bravo to them. Bravo to the podcast world. Excellent interview. And it's nice to see them moving in a more revolutionary path and just following the same old, same old. And the debates, it was nice that they tried to change them up a little bit. But so what did you think about the vice presidential debate last week? Did you like it? I was interested in it. It's never going to be as exciting as a presidential debate, but I was a little anxious, not anxious. I was a little enthusiastic about it. I was hoping, I mean, let's be honest, Vance is not the most exciting personality out there, but he was well rehearsed. I think his legal background and his experience definitely benefited him for the debate. Waltz was I felt he was a little bit more nervous, but I thought he was fine. Okay. They didn't always stay on topic. Maybe they got a few things off a bit. Nothing too out of the ordinary, in my opinion. I didn't think it was too out of the ordinary. But I thought Waltz did seem a little bit more nervous, but God, it was just boring. I mean, boring. Okay. The reviews they were civil. They got along. That's fine. That's fine. That's what you want. But I think I would have rather watched paint dry, personally. I mean, it was just that boring. And usually you have some alternative things that you can watch on other channels while the debates are going on. No, I think that they were calling for record numbers for that debate, and maybe they had them. I don't even know. I fell asleep doing that. But I was trying to flip and find something. There was really nothing on. So bummer, total bummer. But as we are discussing getting closer to the election and moving into those important topics, subjects, and issues that affect all of us, there is a new documentary on Hulu, and it's called Patrice. And it is, I've only been able to watch a little bit of it. I will go back and watch the rest. But this documentary talks about a very personal issue and topic in my life. It affects my family directly, and that's about disability and the rights for disabilities and everything like that. That is a major topic for me. Of course, I am listening to what both Harris and Trump have to say on that topic. I need changes. I want to see changes and reform happen. There's just too many restrictions, too many rules, and it's just unfair. And I feel it's a last group of people to really have any type of rights. So, with that being said, now in this documentary, Patrice is this just, oh my God, angel of a human being, this woman, and she has a disability, and she has a partner who also has a disability. He's in a wheelchair, and I don't know what other maybe medical issues that he might have or challenges or her, but they just say that they have disabilities, and they both are on government disability. And I don't know if it's SSI, but how they classify it, they do talk with the lawyer on there, but they receive disability from the government. And Patrice and her partner, Gary, who are adorable and love each other, they want to get married. And if they get married, they lose their benefits. There are many rules and stipulations and hoops that you have to jump through just to apply for disability. And it is a lengthy process, and many are rejected, many. And I talked a few weeks ago that John Oliver on his show Last Week Tonight actually did a fantastic piece on disability. So if this is a subject that is near and dear to you, important to you, I would definitely go back and watch that episode online or wherever you can watch it. But that was on the Don Oliver show Last Week Tonight. He did a subject just several weeks ago on disabilities. Well, this show, the documentary on Hulu, Patrice, was talking about that subject as well. They want to get married. Now they both, Patrice works. I don't know about her spouse, but they have limitations on what they are able to do, and they do need that assistance. And she talks about, I need disability to pay for my medical bills and my medication, and medical bills and medication is astronomical. It is astronomical. And medical bills bankrupt so many people. It's an egregious thing to me. It makes me sick just thinking about it, discussing it. So this documentary goes into it. You see their love story and how they want to get married. And then you have some scenes where they're talking with their attorney, their disability attorney. And I mean, gosh, this attorney, what a tough job she has. And she's letting them know, like, look, I understand that you guys love each other, and what you want to do to be with each other and marry is totally normal. And you should be able to do what all of us can do, what everyone has the right to do. But if you do that, the government will cut off your funding, because you will maybe the qualifications you'll I'll be out of bounds from. So if it's financial, I think she was saying that you can have like less than $2,000 or right at $2,000 could be the monthly income. If you make $1 over that. Now, I am not an expert, but I think that was $2,000, but you can check the numbers. If you go $1 over, gone. If you have someone that lives with you, that can go away as well, because the combined income can be more than what you could qualify for. There are just a lot of rules. And the attorney was telling them this. Even though that you need this help and you qualify for this help, if you want to do just something so simple as live with the person you love and want to be connected to them, they'll take that away. It's a repulsive thought. And this documentary gets into it. And so if it's not only just an adorable, sweet story of love and kindness, it's upsetting. And it talks about the major flaws in our laws and our governments, and how we still need to fight for the rights of all. But, we've come so far, and we've been so progressive. And this is one of the last, I think, major topics, one of the last frontiers. We have to help those with disability. We have to. And if this documentary puts this topic out there more in the forefront, I hope it gains a lot of attention, because with attention and with this conversation, hopefully can maybe put this topic, on the hot burner, if you will, back in Congress. Because these laws and for change are in Congress. They're just sitting there. Nothing's getting passed. These bills are just sitting on desks, and it's infuriating. This is who we vote to help us, to pass these bills, to change laws for us, the community, our country. And if they're not doing it, get them out of it. This is what our election's for. So think about that. And these last 28 days leading up to the election, what is important to you? What affects you? And how do you choose that person who will help get those achieved for you? It's a sweet documentary. And I got to tell you, just watching that lawyer just have to burst that bubble of love was really sad. But the good news is that they do choose to do a commitment ceremony, and it was very sweet and touching. And Patrice's friends are just incredible in this documentary. Like, again, I didn't get to finish it. I only got about halfway through to it. I will finish it. It looked really good. I could do a lot without a little bit of the storytelling. It is important to get an understanding of her background and her story of her growing up. I could have done it with a little bit of that. I was looking for a little bit more of the legal stuff, and the fight for that. Maybe I'll see a little bit more of it in the end of the documentary, but really, really good documentary and some food for thought leading into this election. That's that affects everybody. You know, we all want rights, and we all want rights for our loved ones. And think about that. And we need to fight for those who can't fight for themselves, right? That's what we need to do. It makes us all better. Now, that was a great documentary. There's, oh God, Netflix is coming out with, there's another Menendez documentary coming out on Netflix. The Menendez stuff is just turning. It's everywhere in the news lately. It's a fascinating topic. It really is. But there is conversation that the attorney, I guess the district attorney in LA is going to go back and review some of the information and the rulings on the previous cases, and will reevaluate if they could possibly have a trial and maybe have some of their charges dropped to a lesser charge. Now, they have served over 35 years in prison. So if their charges are dropped to a lesser charge, which it was life in prison with no possibility of parole. Well, if that gets charged to or dropped to a misdemeanor charge, you know, or that, what is it? Manslaughter, excuse me. I couldn't spit it out. I don't want to say misdemeanor, but a drop or a smaller charge of manslaughter. I am not an attorney or a legal mind. This is what I was reading. But if it would be dropped to something lower, and I don't mean misdemeanor, not a misdemeanor, they have been convicted of murder. Please, that was, I misspoke. But if they would be dropped to something like manslaughter or anything, that's if, this is all hypothetical now, they could get out. There's a possibility. Could get out. Interesting. But I mean, it has been everywhere in the news. So these documentaries are so good lately. So if you have a chance, if you haven't heard about that, watch it. I'm sure I don't know where you wouldn't have heard about the Menendez story now. It's everywhere. But there is another one coming out on Netflix, and it's just, I think, a little bit more of the legal stuff. I haven't watched that one yet. It was just released the other day. The monster one, that was definitely a good documentary. Again, Javier Bardem. So good. So good. He's so creepy when he wants to be. He was so good. I really like that, but it's just, it is so interesting how these court cases from back in the day, you know, and just they're reevaluating. I mean, they're all coming out in these documentaries. And I don't know if you watched, what is it? The Golden State. Was it the Golden State Killer? That was a good one. And then they ended up catching him for that. I mean, so it's nice. So seeing a lot of this, the crime genre is it's the number one genre in like podcasting and stuff like that. But to see that they're doing these documentaries and it's having an effect, it's fascinating to watch. And speaking of court cases, then you've got Diddy. Wow. Holy. So I happened to be watching TMZ, and they were interviewing this attorney, and he was saying that a lot of people are coming out, and that there are a lot of new allegations are coming out against or accusers, I should say, are coming out against Diddy. And I think he said that there's like 120 now, new accusers coming out. And, you know, of course, they're going to do enough back checking and vetting all the information to make sure that these are true and if these charges can go forward. But 120, and there could be more. Now, there was a strong statement that this attorney said that was being interviewed on TMZ, and he was saying to anyone who attended these Diddy parties and these freak-offs, and this is going to celebrities, if you attended them and you were at the late night parties, and if you had, if you had any knowledge of what could go on there, if there could be any drugs, any, you know, risque actions or play, if you will, um, any kind of sex stuff going on there, you will be called. And there is a strong chance that legal action could be taken out against you. Because if you knew something could have happened there and you didn't do anything, I don't know if they would think that that could be a crime. I don't know. But the attorney was saying very strong statements that if you were there and you saw something or didn't even see it, knew that something could have, might have happened or was definitely going to happen, and you didn't do anything, but your name was up or you could have even been in a picture, you are going to be contacted now. I mean, he had a lot of parties, and huge. So many people are freaking out, just even asking. I know I wasn't at a freak out, but was I at a party? Could I have been in a picture? Are they going to call me? Even if I was just in the early party outside by the pool, who knows? So I'm sure Hollywood is bracing themselves for major scandals. They're waiting for the names to be called, like what I would imagine the names that were in the Jeffrey Epstein books. Of course, they never came to light. Some names have been leaked out in time, but I bet that book was not only a page turner, but a good read. I'm sure the names on that list, wow. But I kind of have a feeling like some of those pictures and that invite list, that's like a black book itself. So anybody who's ever there, I bet they're sweating it out. Even if you're like, I just dropped off, I don't know, like a pasta salad. I was there for 10 minutes. I don't know anything. I didn't see anything. I didn't know anything. I bet you're freaking out. You're going to get that phone call too. I would be nervous of a subpoena for sure. I definitely would. But that court case is going to be crazy. And I still want to know, our camera's going to be in the courtroom, because I'm not missing a moment. And if so, first of all, I can't imagine how hard those tickets are going to be to get into the courtroom. It's pretty much almost always, I think, first come, first serve, right? You wait in the line. I can't even imagine the line to get in to that courtroom. So who knows? The court system can take some time. I don't know when this court hearing when it will happen, I have no idea. I've heard it could be June, but who knows? But that is going to be an crazy case, but I'm going to be watching and listening for sure. Absolutely for sure. Now, let's get into some other TV craziness. It's everywhere. Now, let's go to Bravo. There were some beautiful, beautiful moments on Bravo this week. All right, I'm just going to say two things. Everyone keeps telling me I need to watch the Real House, the Secret Lives of Mormon Lives. I will try. I know it's coming to an end. I'm probably going to miss it. I'll try. We'll see. Also, everyone keeps telling me you got to watch RHONY. You got to watch the Real Housewives of New York, the new seasons. I know they recasted. They came back last year, new cast. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes. I couldn't watch it. I definitely enjoyed and loved the original cast. I did. I'd been with them for so long. I'd seen their kids grow up. I knew their stories. We'd seen them go through divorces, weird relationships. Who was the guy that everybody dated? Oh, his name will come to me. that, I mean, he dated all the housewives on Roni, but I like them. And I know it was a little bit of a hot mess at the end. And yes, I do believe that Ramona probably did need a break. She was getting a little hot. But to deny us Luann and Sonia, that really upsets me. I mean, the rest of them are fine. I miss Dorinda. I do miss Dorinda. And I understand why she was put on a pause. She was mad. She was angry. I understand why she was put on pause. But I do miss her. I do miss her. She was funny. She was smart. She was good catty. And she was a fun drinker. She was. But she got a little mean sometimes. But that's okay. We still loved Dorinda. She'd get a little teeny tense there, and she'd have that. Well, I still loved Dorinda. She was great. But to deny me the Countess and Lady Morgan, no. I just haven't. I haven't been able to get into the New Girls. A lot of people like it. I haven't. So I'm just going to put it out there. I will not be covering the newer season of New York. Sorry. But there's so many other great shows. It's hard too. The premiere of Below Deck Sailing Yacht, that is happening. But I really, really need to get into Potomac. So let me just loop around real fast. Salt Lake City, everybody's still after Whitney. I don't know why I still want to call her Ashley. I think it was just because I was too excited about Potomac. But everybody's still going after Whitney. And yeah, probably rightfully so. The new girl, Bronwyn, churning and stirring that bubbling cauldron of drama, and that's kind of entertaining. And Brittany, she a hot mess. She a mess. Which should be fun. She should be fun. She should be a good mess with all the other hot messes on the show. And again, everybody, leave Lisa alone. Please give her a break. She is sad. Jack is gone. So he's in Colombia and she is sad. So please, can we give her a break? And I'm just going to say, I am really enjoying Angie this season, even with her great glasses. She is a fun character and a little staccato, but I find her fun and I like her. And like I said, she's looked great this season so far. Tiny little thing, but she's just looked great. And Mary, I'm happy to have Crazy Mary back. And Mary's really putting it in this season. I like that. You go, Mary. Now, moving over to Orange County. Where, geez. Now, poor Shannon. Leave my Shannon alone. Leave my Shannon alone. She's going through it. And Johnny J, Alexis, get out of here. I don't like it. I'm over you. I'm over it. I'm over it. Now, Atlanta should be hitting here soon. I am excited to see Miss Phaedra. She's coming back. Kenya. I am going to miss Kenya. I liked Kenya. So I am going to miss Kenya. But I am excited to see Phaedra back. So that should be coming down the pike soon. Beverly Hills is coming. Miami's coming. Just see all those hot tamales in Miami. I love them. But I have got to circle around to the Housewives of Potomac. Now, I have discussed, I am a Mid-Atlantic girl. So Potomac, it's close to my heart. And I love me Giselle. I love me some of the Grand Dame. Ashley, you're okay. I think seeing your dating scene, that might be fun this season. I sure hope so. Let's see. Wendy, we get a little bit, I hope we get a better side of you this season. I think you're great. I think you're gorgeous. I think you're brilliant. I think you're a little stretched out everywhere with what you want to do. So I hope you find the right path there and go down it. Eddie seems to be very supportive and everybody seems to love Eddie. Robin Dixon did not miss you. Did not miss you. Nick, bit, but she didn't really add much, and she's gone. She was one and done. She's gone. Now, let's get into Potomac. It starts, boom, right into it. The reenactment of Karen Huger's accident, where she was arrested for a DUI. And I mean, they were showing some of the charges that they were against Karen, and it was a lot. Like, I didn't realize there was that many. There was a lot. I mean, a lot, Karen. Now, I do know when they were showing the streets, I do know that area. I do know that area pretty well, actually. And there are a lot of deer. So when you see the deer running, that, you know, and they're like, I'm like, they make it seem like that deer just came out of nowhere. There's deers everywhere around there. It's very green. It's very lush. There's a lot of wildlife, and deer are everywhere around there. And deer accidents are extremely common. So when I saw that deer hit, I was like, oh no. And then the tree, but there were a lot of charges against Karen. I mean, that's bad. Because it's like, oh no, did she just have like a glass of wine at dinner and then swerve to hit a deer and then hit the tree? I'm guessing that's what happened, but I guess it was more than just one wine. But I mean, Maryland's no joke. It is no joke. It's no tolerance, and they are no joke. So I could see how that it could easily happen even with one glass. And if it hit, and Karen, I don't know what you were on or what your routine is, your regiment, but you are getting so thin. So maybe one glass could have done it to her. I don't know. Sometimes alcohol hits you fast and furious, and sometimes differently. That's a lot of charges. The police cam, I don't think has been released, but wow. So boom, that was the start of the episode. And then you see Giselle coming to pick Karen up to take her out to lunch and lift her spirits, and, you know, tell her that she's going to host a birthday brunch for Karen. And it was that scene was really funny. The fact that she picked up Karen, and when she picked it up, she told her husband that she was taking her out, and he just looked so happy to get Karen out of the house. Did he not? He looked so thrilled. He's like, oh my God, thank you. Please get her out of the house. So Ray looked happy. Ray looked really, really happy. He's like, oh my God, Giselle, my girl, you saved me. Get her out. He looked so annoyed. So she takes her to this restaurant. I actually know that place they went. It's cute and it's very good. When she went there, and this is what makes Giselle the best. So here she is talking to Karen, of course, with concern, but she's also throwing shade at the same time. And she was like, you know, Karen, in a very southernly charmed kind of way, you know, you always seem like you are so put together and so with it and all of that. And this isn't like you. And the camera, and, you know, Karen is saying, yes, I am usually put together and I am usually well with it and, you know, always on point. And so I was going through things. So this definitely is very uncharacteristic of me. And Giselle sitting there saying, well, it's just, you just are always so put together. And as she's saying this in a slightly shady fashion, the shady cameramen are like panning to Karen at her hands where she has broken nails and just Band-Aid off, and like half of them are gone, and she just kind of looks a little messy. So as Karen's saying, you just look, or as Giselle's saying, you look so put together, Karen's panning down and saying she's not, in a shady fashion. So she's telling her that she's inviting the girls to a birthday lunch in honor of Karen to lift her spirits. So she's having a attitude party, and you see Ashley sitting down with her attorneys, and you see clips of her going through some of her dates because she's ready to move on and finally divorce Michael. I'm glad that they can have a decent co-parenting relationship, but girl, cut that cord from Mr. Dobby. Ugh, move on with your life. You deserve to be happy. And the dating clips were really cute. I like seeing that of Ashley. And it's got to be tough, especially with two kids. That's tough. That's tough. So I hope to see a little bit more of that down the path. Wendy, she's still trying to interview. I don't know what she's doing, but she's still working. I don't know if it's her network, a podcast, show, channel. I don't know. But you see some of that, and you'll see some more of that going into like previews for later in the season. And so you're getting the backstory, and then we get an introduction to some new cast members. You see, was it Vivian, which is a boutique owner, and she's been friends with Karen for a while. And now I don't know if she's going to be a friend of. I'm thinking she must be a friend of, but we do need the new cast member, Stacy. Stacy just moved to the area from Philly. She was on QVC, and her mannerisms are very QVC. I don't know if you ever saw that show. I think, was it on Showtime? Was it Star or Showtime? No, I think it's Showtime. And it was about like a network kind of like QVC. And it was something called like I Love That For You. And it was a really good show. And Molly Shannon was on it. But how that girl was, she was so poised and so bubbly on camera, but kind of cutthroat behind the scenes. And isn't that how most people on camera really are on major networks? Takes a lot to get to the top. And I am seeing this in this girl. She's always so put together and proper. I mean, first of all, she is drop dead gorgeous. She is stunning. But she's just so proper. And I feel like saying, I'm like, she just doesn't know if she fits with these women. But she actually did live in the area. She actually does have a connection with Wendy. She's like, we knew each other not well, but we were on a board together. So we have, we had interactions. And then you see, was it Kierna? Is that her name? Kierna? She was a friend of last season, and she had that big fight at the end of the season with the other friend of. And so she's here. So you didn't see much of her this episode. They're going to get into, she was just kind of like introduced at the very end. But during Karen's birthday party, during the Hatitude, everybody, of course, wants to address the elephant in the room, Karen's DUI. It's been all in the news, and nobody's really talked about it with Karen. So of course they have questions. They want to get it directly from the source. What's happening? Have you already had your court case? Has there been a ruling? Because when Giselle asked her about it, she shut it down right away. She's like, just read the paper. Read the stories. You'll figure it out. So she is not discussing anything, which is smart. She probably shouldn't. But of course, everybody else in the cast has questions, and she's just shutting it down. And during the Hatitude party, it's getting intense. Now I'm going to get to Mia. I did not forget Mia. I'm getting there. And because you see Mia and Gordon through this awkward co-parenting scene earlier in it, trying to work through things and still talking about that whole paternity test. And the ink thing. So they're all sitting there at the Hatitude party, and they're trying to start to pick at Karen about the DUI. Now, it's not going too far. She's shutting it down. In some way, somehow, Karen redirects it to Mia. Because she's like, well, Mia, I don't understand where you're having these issues considering my concern. You shouldn't be concerned about me. My concern was about your children, because you put it out there to the world that your infidelity and the potential paternity issue with your children, and my heart goes out to your children. I'm thinking of them, and I was thinking about you. And Mia has an absolute breakdown, and rightfully so. And then Wendy of all people comes to her aid. It was like, I think that's a bit much. I think Giselle and Karen, both of you coming at Mia when this is a touchy situation, a touchy subject. This is her kids. Like, that's a lot. We're all parents. We're all moms. Like this is really, this is crossing the boundary. And Wendy was up, was taken up for him. And of course, Mia gets up from the table and is just distraught. And you see camera crew and others trying to go in the bathroom. Of course, another scene where the bathroom door is shoved in the cameraman's face. And you just see the new girl, Stacy, just like shell shocked, like, what? You don't know who baby daddy is? And she's, what? She just looked utterly shocked. So I'm interested to see where she's going to go. How long is she going to have that prim and proper front up? Is like, when is she going to be pushed to the point where, boom, that shield comes down and the real side comes out where she's pissed and gets, the attitude. It happens to all of them on every franchise, every season. And I am excited they were showing clips for the previews, I should say, for the rest of the season. And it looks good. I think I might like the new girls. There's going to be definitely high drama. I love Potomac and I'm so excited it's back. I really am. And I love it. And let me just say that following Potomac, because I was watching on Peacock, because I had to go back. I didn't get to see it when it was first came out. I had to go back and watch it on Peacock. Following that, a new show came on called The Queen's Court. I had not ever seen this show before, hadn't heard of it. I watched it and I'm interested and I like it. I like it. And I don't even like dating shows at all, unless it is Married at First Sight Australia. That is the only one. That is the best one. That is amazing. That is the only one to watch. But The Queen's Court, I only watched one episode. And the one episode was, whoa, they were dropping all kinds of hot topics there. Great. Only 3 bachelorettes looking for their men out of many. But God, that was good. I loved it. So, Queen's Court, I'm going to be watching more of that. We're going to be breaking that one down. And so much more to get into. Watch your documentaries. Get ready for your politics. Get ready for the election. And prepare for any weather events that are coming around. Our hearts go out to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Follow me on the Instagram at PollyWineTime and listen to Pollywine wherever you can get on your feed. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.